हिसाब से 10 जगह से रॉन फायरिंग हो गई, 10 जाने के ऊपर हो गए।
बैठो 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 आराम से बैठो।
फायरिंग कर रहे हैं वो लोग,
हाँ
फायरिंग कर रहे हैं।
किस चोट है?
मेरे बाजू में बगल में था।
क्या ब्लड कहीं लगा चोट क्या बेटा? अच्छा ठीक ठीक बैठो, मैं पट्टी करता हूँ आपको। अरे नहीं 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 नहीं, हम लोग फौज हैं, हम लोग बैठो बैठो, हम लोग फौज हैं, बैठो बैठो चलो। अरे हम लोग फौजी हैं, कुछ नहीं करेंगे, आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं, आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं, बैठो 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 बैठो, आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं, हम इंडियन आर्मी हैं, बैठो।
ये इंडियन आर्मी,
आप लोग कहाँ से आए हो? कहाँ से आए आप लोग? आपके बच्चे कुछ नहीं करेंगे, थोड़ा बताइए हुआ।
Today, I start this session of Samvad on a very somber note by paying homage and tributes to all those who were killed by Islamist terrorists in Pahalgam yesterday. The attack in Pahalgam was not just an assault on India. It is an assault on human dignity. It is an assault on the people who wish to build a future by a people who still wish to live on in the rock ages. To discuss the incident in Pahalgam and the issues arising out of it, we have with us Lieutenant General Devendra Pratap Pandey, former GoC 15 Corps of the Indian Army. Welcome to Samvad, sir.
Thank you, Mayank.
Sir, very uncannily, it was only on the 12th of April when we were discussing Kashmir, when you said कि कश्मीर में शांति है पर कश्मीर शांत नहीं।
This leads to another question कि ये जो शांति हमें on the face of its surface पे दिख रही है, टूरिज्म भी काफ़ी बढ़ गया है, काफ़ी लोग जा रहे हैं, ऐसा कोई हाई लेवल ऑफ वायलेंस, काइनेटिक वायलेंस नहीं नज़र आ रहा है, पर जो रेडिकलाइजेशन लोगों का हो चुका है सर, कहीं ना कहीं सोसाइटी तो रेडिकलाइज्ड हो गई है, तो ये रेडिकलाइजेशन क्या किसी न किसी दिन सिर उठाने की संभावना है? क्या इसको काउंटर किया जा सकता है?
देखिए, मेरे से कई लोग सवाल पूछते हैं तो मैं सबका जवाब यही देता हूँ, शांति है, शांत नहीं है। इट इज पीसफुल बट पीस इज नॉट देयर।
I mean, I'm looking on the Pahalgam incident 10 days later, sir. What I can make out, because this was, you being such a senior officer, this was not a prediction based just on hearsay or a whimsical prediction. It was obviously based on some deep analysis, sir. I would like you to share your analysis of the idea behind this statement.
There are two things. One is, firstly, it is a very horrifying day. It's a day of reflection for the entire country, and not for the only country, for the world as well. That how far are they going to give the leash to Pakistan establishment to run this terror machinery which they have been running. They successfully ensured that there has been a peace neither in Afghanistan nor in India, and of course they are exporting terror all over the place. Of course, now they have got a new opening in Bangladesh where they have invested enough time since independence of Bangladesh. So when is this facet of Pakistan to accept that they are an independent country? They need to now look at their future differently and go on the path of peace and prosperity. I guess till the time this doesn't happen, ये जो चीज है, this situation will keep on coming to haunt us when we divided a country on the basis of two nation theory, or one for Muslims and one for Hindus and other communities who want to live together. So this will keep on coming, this thing, and unfortunately what happens is that we, as our DNA dictates, particularly of our country, in which we are very happy to reconcile with minor successes and short-term successes. आज का देखा जो ठीक ठाक है, अच्छा हो गया, कल की कल देखेंगे. So the moment you get certain degree of peace dividends, we start relishing it, enjoying it, rather than continue to go whole hog to ensure it goes root enough to last long, this thing. So coming to from Pakistan shifting to Kashmir itself, so it was not a rhetoric remark which I just made. I think I have been speaking of it for last about 4 to 5 years, 6 years, having been in Kashmir, having been in trouble-torn areas and seeing examples all over the place. The line I think which I had used in your podcast that time also was, there's a thing called virus, right? When you apply antivirus system, it retracts back to recesses of your human body, waits for a time when you are weak and you are unaware or you are slightly more lackadaisical, and it comes back either in same form or other form to hit you back. And this virus lives life kicking around, and we chose to ignore. Just because it was peaceful doesn't mean there's peace. Peaceful is the environment, but the peace has to have roots and shoots going beyond the beyond your what you can see, beyond the visible images. So essentially, we are looking at figures like development, jobs. We're looking at elections were done, G20 happened, then what do you call elections have done, and then large number of tourists were coming, successful conduct of series of Amarnath Yatra, and all the tick marks which are required to say the region is on a peaceful march. So region is on peaceful march. There's a lot of investment which has been done. The investment is not only in time, energy, and funds and infrastructure, but the investment has been in a lot of loss of blood and lives in the region of Jammu and Kashmir, which we have worked towards ensuring peace for the people of Kashmir. So therefore, when you start looking at these parameters, you start believing that things have come. But what we are not looking at, what is happening on the hidden domain, what is happening in the chatter which is below the radar, which is happening on clubhouses, which is happening in the dark web, what is happening in the terror support infrastructure, which is intact, in the sense you may have taken out large number of OGWs and put them behind the bar, but there are enough number of people who are pending on the soft terror, soft separatism network who are still alive. In fact, they are in power. Some of them are back into, after having won the election, they are back into the chair, and they are using the constitutional positions to ensure that you poison the mind of the people and continue to poison the mind of the people. So all these things were quite indicative. In any case, let me just very quickly run down in 7 years or 8 years from 2017 onwards what's been happening. Besides a lot of stone pelting and stuff like that, incidents of terror which happened somewhere in, I'll quickly give out few timelines for you. July 2017, we had a Amarnath Yatra attack in which seven Yatris were killed, 19 were injured, all Hindus. May 2022, Katra bus attack took place, 4 killed, 10 injured. More could have died, right? More could have died, but then unfortunately for the terrorist and fortunately for us, less number of people died. January 23, another 6 months later, 7 were killed in the Chori. June 24, just another 6 months, Riyasi bus attack took place, 9 killed, 33 injured, in which the bus went down. October 24, another just 3 to 4 months later, the tunnel in Gandarbal got attacked, 7 killed. March 25, Kathua, right, 5, including 3 Jammu and Kashmir police people were killed. So where is the peace? Every 3 months, 6 months, I've just narrated these things, and I have not talked of what operations have been done against the uniformed community. I've just talked of civilians being killed. So what is different this time? The difference is that they have checked the identity, they have checked the religion, and now they have taken this killing to a new norm. Something which is akin to a genocide which was perpetuated in 1990 by taking out Kashmir Pandits, in which either you convert or you're with us or you go away. In any case, your girls and daughters are ours and property is ours. So it is reflection of that mindset. It is just a small little trailer, and it has come at a geopolitical inflection point in which Pakistan and its leadership finds itself isolated, and they wanted to do this kind of act using religion, and especially after Asim Munir, what he said, as a point in which the people of our country are divided absolutely clearly.
So you're speaking of a virus. So I would like you to take us into that scientific journey. What is the DNA of this virus which is still infecting the people, sir? And what, because the virus always exists in an environment. It only flourishes without an environment. The virus is dead. So what is the DNA, sir, and what is the environment?
So, this DNA started somewhere about 100 years back, in which systems just started by one of very prominent leaders by saying that we are unique people, and the fight started with the Maharaja of the state, right? And this uniqueness, which is existing in entire part of a country. So you are unique because you are from a different part of city. We may belong to same state, but the traditions and eating habits and the marriage systems are quite different to possibly the place where you come from. And similarly, when you go to northeast or south or central India or north, the western part, we are all very, very distinct people. Even in fact, color, face sizes, body shapes change based on this thing, language, eating habit, and culture also is quite similar. So there was a thing which was there, which was raised in terms of religion, in terms of distinct identity. It was against so-called Maharaja Hari Singh's rule per se, and thereafter there came an opportunity when they wanted to be again segregated and be independent, possibly at 1947-48, which didn't happen as part of the larger design, and the country got created. But then this ideology by a community per se in that place to keep the vote bank politics and support mechanism to browbeat the center continuity from 47 to 48, while those people who were involved in the signature of secession were party to a secession, right? But they were self-interest of competition, blackmail of the larger Indian community, which was happening, by the way, elsewhere also. It was nothing very unique to this. But this being a border town, border state, the impacts are much more severe and obvious, right? And that became a national security issue. So now this virus of uniqueness in form of location, religion, and type of people, eating habit, has continued to be kept alive. Again, I keep on repeating, there are so many other parts of the country, the similar thing is used, right? Besides thinking कि सारे देश के अंदर the entire country is microcosm of large number of such people. So again, this came about, and this virus continues to reside. But now, over a period of time, it's become radical, it's become ideological, it's based also on, more importantly, on religion, right? And that is dangerous. The fact of the matter is that 1970s, 80s, Kashmir used to be very progressive, modern. Slowly, one form of religion came out which said, no, there's not enough, you have to be much more hardline. Then second came, the third came, and today's 4 years, 5 years back, the religion identity became much more hardcore. 4 years, a certain degree of prosperity, openness, mindfulness came about, and engagement started taking place. And again, it was not very happy situation for that virus which resides there. This virus can be contained only on a couple of things. That is, firstly, for a long term, your education system continues to be changed to be much more inclusive rather than being exclusive. Education needs to be proliferating in terms of an environment where scientific temper is brought in rather than only a large number of people into religious teachings and stuff like that. And of course, there is a security umbrella in which the common people are able to live their life as per normal people elsewhere. And they look, rather than looking at Pakistan as an example, or maybe I will say there are a couple of other countries in the neighborhood as an example, they look at the world at large where they are going, including a large number of Gulf countries are now moving on to the modern path rather than trying to go back to the 7th and 8th century. So all these things require certain degree of long-term perspective planning on this and taking them on the path of that. So the moment you remove security, the moment you start let go, this virus strikes back.
Sure. So there is a lot of agitation among the common people, which you must have felt yourself. The questions are being raised, and questions partly because of ignorance, partly because of the anger. The first question as to Pahelgam in general and Baisram in particular is a very popular tourist place. So why were it not secured properly? Why did the security forces take a substantial amount of time, as we read from the reports, to come over? Then there is the section of the people who obviously point out that security forces cannot work in isolation. They need proper intel. But finally, we have to admit there have been lapses, sir. Your views?
So look, at this point of time, if we start saying there were no lapses, I think we are not looking right in any case. So lapses were there already. They were existing and everybody knows and people exploit lapses. There are a couple of things which happened because, again, when the establishment, when the government, when the people in power and people who are responsible start believing the rhetoric that it's peaceful, that much your guard starts going down. तो आप अपने establishment में आप सबके लिए public wants to know it's peaceful. You must tell the public that it's peaceful. But within the government, within the functionaries, within the elements which are operating there, they must know it is peaceful, but it's not peace. Right? There's no peace. So then those arms keep on working. So then, suddenly the push starts coming from the political environment, the NGOs, the people who are social activists, that when it is peaceful, why should we have police and army and CRPF and people patrolling and stuff like that? They're infringing into our private lives. So that is the time. When I was as a Corps commander, they used to ask me the same question. I used to tell them that, look, it is peaceful. It is only because they are there. One Pulwama will happen, this whole peaceful narrative will go out. And this is exactly what has happened. So once you have struck, the peaceful narrative is punctured, the tourists will start flying back. In Manath Yatra, instead of 4 lakh, there will be only 2 lakh, or the numbers will come down. And all those things, who wants to come? And then who gets affected, by the way? The people, the nation gets affected, our reputation gets affected, the reputation of the establishment gets affected. And therefore, I think it is also a slight premature thing that this happened south of Pir Punjab, in Jammu region. Oh, everything is fine, Jarurat kya hai? Even are also people in the army also uniform, kuch karne ko to hai nahi. So you take out, kuch karne ko nahi hai. ठीक है, आपको लगता है कुछ करने को नहीं, कुछ नहीं को बहुत है. Just mere presence of an RR company ensures that 20 kilometers around, the terrorist operations reduces drastically. Not only its operation, its support network starts reducing. The boys and girls who see army as an example, they want to join army rather than becoming join a terror group, right? Because there is a time and space in which a child is very impressionable. And therefore, instead of giving an example of a good uniform force which is disciplined, you start vacating that area and they start seeing terrorists coming about and people talking of azadi or separatism or religion or radicalization. Wahan pe kya ho raha hai? Then conversions take place and you'll find a young boy taking a weapon. So this didn't happen, right? They should have ensured that the security grid, which is intact, while it will always take time to respond to a situation, right? Within minutes in mountains and jungles, the security forces to reach will always take time. But I guess that I can only know because I'm not there, I'm not responsible, but I feel they surely failed to ensure there was adequate presence because, the numbers to put a security grid is this much only, right? So there is a process of possibly comfort zone, day looting and stuff like that, and which was taken advantage of. And of course, intelligence network was not there, and therefore this could be done in such a free manner. It is not possible to otherwise carry out an attack like this.
Sir, can this operation of this sort, the one carried out yesterday, can it be carried out without the help of local collaborators?
No. Oh, it is never possible. Even if they are locals, after all, what is coming out that the 2 of the terrorists were locals also and 2 are foreigners. But these are all speculations of now, so I'll not like to give any credence to it. But the fact of the matter is that even if he's a local, there's still required of a guy who is not a terrorist, but he's living amongst the citizens, who will pass information. Kab aana hai, kyun aana hai, how far is the police, how far is the army, is there anybody in around? So therefore, all these things, what are the kind of people who in that resort, all that intelligence comes from the local network. Again, I must correct this. When you say local network, doesn't mean that every local is there a terrorist or terrorist supporter, right? A larger number of population is larger means what I will say 99% will not partake in such an activity, but the 0.1% when you translate into numbers, is adequate enough to ensure adequate damage is done, right? So it is in a population of nearly about 10 lakh for this thing. In case only 0.1%, you can just calculate how many numbers it comes out, right? Support was there.
Sir, as of now, I mean, what options does India have of responding to what has happened? Would you suggest, sir?
Yeah, so I know you're coming to the hard muscular
No,
response.
sir.
We go
No,
to
sir.
war, we
No,
go to
sir. I
ceasefire.
want you give me a general figure. I'm not talking of the hard power per se, because there are options. You know it. You tell us, sir.
Yeah. So देखो ऐसा है कि firstly, everybody knows what options are, right? So everybody today is a defense expert. I'm not possibly today in the country. You go to a chai wala also, he'll be able to tell you कि हमारे देश को क्या करना चाहिए. But
सर, मैं आपसे
please look
सुनना
at
चाहता
it.
हूँ.
हाँ, please look at it as I am very angry. I will like to go whole hog today when I see that image of the girl, that young bride sitting next to her husband, and a woman crying and saying कि हमसे पूछा कि तुम्हारा धर्म क्या है, and the stuff that हमको भी मार दो तो इससे कि मोदी को बताओ तुमको नहीं मारूंगा, ताकि the terror thing has to spread in the country. One is very angry, and especially you're a soldier, so you feel helpless today that we can't do much as of now. But fact of the matter is that it's a bait, right? What does Pakistan want today? Pakistan is isolated, economy in doldrums, very fractured society. The mullahs are getting after the establishment to either become much more hardline, because you see, there are layers of hardline. 80s ka hardline was overcome by 90s ka hardline. 90s hardline has come by 2000 ka hardline, and now that hardline is becoming much more hardline, right? So somewhere this people who trained, brought up this entire terror infrastructure within the country to use them as a state policy tool, right? To wield their power within their own country and outside, right? They are feeling the heat. And the fracture of the society is actually, Balochistan is happening, Khyber Fatah is happening, and you've got things happening in Gilgit-Baltistan. There are people who are unhappy. Within the ranks also in Pak Army, there are factions which are there, because suddenly Asim Munir comes and says, I'm going to be the chief for next 7 years. Right? Never happened. So there are issues. So what will unite Pakistan very, very quickly? Attack by a country, right? So that, and if you think, if you go for an attack or a conflict or a major conflagration, Pakistan will be destroyed. A lot of people will be saying, "Sab khatam ho jayega. We must hit Rawalpindi with all our might." But please understand, वो तो already khatam. They are already dead meat, right? You go in there, you are only going to revive. You're only going to get them all together, right? So there has to be a sensible option. The people who are on the responsible chair and this thing, they have a number of options, not an easy option to excise any one of them, right? But the muscular option is what the country wants. And immediate muscular option is the one which I recommend not to be taken up, because that will ensure that the Pakistani community will straight away unite. There are smarter options in which I feel that they must carry out an act not to satiate our aspirations of the major population of the anger, but the ones which are going to actually truly hurt. Economic stuff is all fine that we must contribute. To a failed economy, no sanctions are going to affect. In fact, it will only ensure the control of the leadership. You can look at other countries. North Korea has been sanctioned, but the leadership continues to remain powerful. But then they have also got their Achilles heels. They've got the problems. I think we need to work on that. We need to work on those tools which are existing and challenge, ensure that the system is challenged. This whole concept of being nice, right, is done, dusted with, right? ये जो हमारा एक tradition है कि हमको mature होना चाहिए, that maturity part is on off. I think somewhere mature decision and actions are also required. Maturity watch, wait and watch, is something which we have been brought up on a very broad, secularist mindset. I think it's the time to come and teach certain degree of lesson, which is imperative. We need to put the blame where it belongs to, publicly, diplomatically, in the Gulf countries where they don't want such things happening, into the realm of the Western world, which would have looked other way some time back, by the way. There's a TK ho raha hai, but they are also troubled by in their own country what is happening. And I think this time has come to tell, maybe take Asim Munir and his leadership to International Court of Justice or somewhere to ensure that the heat is absolutely on him, because linkages, timeline, everything points towards that person. Right. So I think these are the tools. The muscular tools, there are enough, which will happen. And what I know, I'm bound by Official Secret Act. I can't talk of it.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I'll not have to speculate, because these discussions only for one day.
So one final question. I know you are short of time, sir. One final question. You spoke of General Asim Munir, his fascination for Kashmir, the whole Pakistani army's fascination for Kashmir. Just a few days ago, he spoke of the two-nation theory, Kashmir being the jugular
Our
vein.
stance on Kashmir is absolutely clear. It was our jugular vein. It is our jugular vein. We will not forget it. And we will not leave our Kashmiri brethren in their heroic struggle, what they are waging against the Indian occupation.
On the other hand, the R&AW chief, A.S.Dulat, he asked India to move on. Do you have a message for these two people?
No, for Asim Munir, there is no message, right? Because that man has sitting on a chair from where he can't get down. The day he gets down, he has to leave the country and settle down somewhere else where he's made his castles, right? For him to stay there is going to become very not so possible, because his own army, which is now fed up with him, is going to take him out, right? So he will possibly face the consequence. He knows there's no way off. He needs to keep the same political establishment which will look after him and stay within the country. Otherwise, he'll have to leave the country and go elsewhere. I'm very sure there are great, modern, mature democracies who will look other way and thereafter host him and look after him. A guy who's destroyed his own country for long term. So there is no message. For me, the message would be for the officers and of the Pakistan army, right? And the establishment, which are not part of this process. They have looked other way what is being done to their own people, right? Thanks to Ziaul Haq, thanks to successive chiefs, what damage they have done to their countries and the country's reputation. They must see around what is happening to their country and the people and the youth, which path they are going. Is this the country they had sought for themselves, imagined that we are going to live in a country of suicide bombers and people who are going to be killing men, women, and the girls? This is the country in which people will be kidnapped, converted forcibly. Is this what they desired for the country? I'm quite sure there'll be enough people who will not be able to look into their uniform in front of the face in the mirror, right? Is this what they had desired? That the Pak army establishment and ISI will be known for killing unarmed civilians, tourists who have come to enjoy the time in distant land and in their own country. They need to watch. So frankly, if they are looking by doing all this, somebody on the top is going to give them 72 virgins. I'm quite sure if they have a God, that God has not desired all these things to do in this manner. So this is a message for him. And for Dulat, I am surprised that gentleman was the chief of primary intelligence wing. He needs to possibly, when you have risen to such a important stature, there comes a time when you're responsible not to divulge your secrets. So when a person is using what he did in his service in the intelligence, I hope you understand what is the meaning of intelligence. What you do in an intelligence network, you always goes with you till your death. He is exposing everybody, right or wrong. It may be politicians, it may be friends, it may be bureaucrats, it may be terrorists, or it may be anybody who supported. So fantastically sad. Like, I need to send a message to him: be safe, right? And if the peace was a way forward, then possibly you should have worked hard some time back. But today's hard stance and the way the Pakistani establishment which is there, please don't teach the next generation, because Dulat and his Dil were the ones who continue to do all that point of time as well. The drama of playing, working with the terrorists and their infrastructure and such like things. They were working both things, which the time is now past. They should not do it. And please rest. You have become old. You have become senile. Go back home. Don't expose. Frankly, what he's writing tells the today's people who are working with intelligence agencies, we can't trust you. Right? Because तुमने कल को रिटायरमेंट के बाद में मेरे ऊपर किताब लिख देनी है, तो मेरे और मेरे परिवार का क्या होगा? I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk to you. So they are burning the bridges for the good guys in the intelligence networks to protect our country. That's my message for Dulat. And also the people who are listening, he should be taken out to the jails and cleaned. I don't know what, some legal system should be there to take him out.
Very true, sir. So peace always comes from strength. This is something which we seem to have forgotten and we keep remembering and then keep forgetting. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sparing time despite your hectic schedule. Thank you so much, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.